Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off-Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. The Winter Olympics are now officially over for another year, but they were really great. Getting to watch Shaun White go on his last Olympic run was pretty amazing, and the curling events really grabbed my interest this year. I know every year it seems like we get really into curling, but I think I understood it maybe a little bit more this time. Anyways, the Olympics are over, but our puzzle mystery quilt isn't, and we're getting ready to sew together clue number 8 for Olympia. So let's go ahead and see how clue 8 goes together. Alright, I've got everything together for clue number 8. I have my instructions for my Olympia small, clue number 8. I have, of course, my clue packet number 8. And then I have my fabric guide for the colorway of Carrie. Let's go ahead and open up our fabric and see what's inside. Alright, inside of our clue we have 8 small triangles of fabric F. We have 4 squares of fabric E. We have 4 squares of fabric D. We also have 2 squares of fabric A. And last but not least, we have 4 larger triangles of fabric A. Those are going to be what's inside of our clue for the small colorway, or excuse me, for the small quilt that you're working on. And I'm going to go ahead and put these on the table behind me. I don't know why I'm playing with them. It's fun to play with fabric. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the table behind me, and we'll go ahead and get started with step number 1. Alright, we're going to start off with step number 1 for clue 8. It says join a square of D fabric to the left of square E fabric, and we're going to press towards our D fabric. We're going to make 4 of these in total, so we're just going to put these just like that, so along the seam right here. Remember, if you're doing the Carrie colorway, your E fabric has that tone-on-tone, so it can be very difficult to tell which is the right side, so just pay attention to that whenever you're sewing your pieces together. Like I said, we're doing 4 of these, and I'll come back and press this whenever I'm done with that, so I'm just going to pop that right on there, like so, and so right there. Alright, I've completed that. I've sewn my D's and E's together, and now I'm pressing towards my D fabric. So I'm going to use my easy press and just press that out. This clue I don't think is going to take very long to sew together at all. I think it'll go rather quickly because it seems fairly simple and straightforward. So there we go. Okay, I have all of my D squares and my E squares connected there, like so. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 2. Okay, moving on to step number 2, it says join 2 step 1 units together as shown, and we're going to press to the bottom. So I have both of mine right here on the screen right now, so you just make sure so that oops, I am about to mess this up. Not really, it might have worked. It might not have worked if I wasn't careful. Anyways, there we go. Alright, so we have our D fabric, and our D fabric, our E fabric, and our E fabric. So we're making kind of a checkerboard. We're going to do this twice, and then we'll be done with step number 2. Remember, we're pressing towards the bottom of our clue, which really in this case could be any which way, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, and we'll meet back here when it's time to press it out. All right, there we go, and now I am pressing my second one here. I've gotten the first one done. I'm just pressing the second one here, and I'm pressing towards the bottom. For me, I don't really care which way is the bottom, especially because the fabric can be, it's not directional is basically what I'm saying. So both of mine are currently pressed so that they are going down, at least down, I say. So that's finishing step number 2. Let's go ahead and move on to step number 3. Okay, moving on to step number 3, it says to sew a small triangle of F to the top left of a large triangle of A. We're going to press towards F, and then we're going to sew another small triangle of F to the top right. We're going to press towards F, and we're going to make 4 of these. So we're going to make 4 flying geese blocks, just like this, and we'll come back whenever it's time to press them out. I am going to go ahead and sew both sides. Just remember to press your left one before you start sewing the right one on, but I'm going to come back and join you after I have gone ahead and sewn all of my left segments on, and then I am going to work on the right side. So we'll come back there, and I'll meet you back here in just a bit. Alright, there we go, and remember with flying geese, I do them like half square triangles where I go up, and then over, directly across, and then I press it all out. I think I've finally gotten to the point where I can get a flying geese somewhat level and even, and I think I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest, because there we go. Those look pretty good. There's a little wobble every now and again, but honestly, I'm very happy with that. So, all right, let's go ahead, and that completes step number 3. We've made 4 of those flying geese units, and now it's time to move on to step number 4. Okay, moving on to step number 4, it says to rotate step 3 so that the triangle A points downwards. So I've just flipped it around, turned it upside down, and now it points towards me. And then we're going to join a square of A to the left of a step 3 unit. So it's going to look like this. Whenever it's done, we're going to sew along this seam right here. And it's going to look like that. And we're only doing that 2 times. So we're going to make 2 of these just like this. So don't freak out when you don't have 4 squares. You just have 2 because you're only doing this twice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here in just a moment. All right, I have done that for 2 of these, and now I'm pressing towards my A fabric like the instructions say to do, just like that. So now I have 2 strips that look like this with our A fabric on our left and a step 3 here on our right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put one of these aside because we're gonna move on to step number 5. Actually, I'm gonna put both of these, I'm gonna put both of these to the side and move on to step number 5. All right, moving on to step number 5, it says to join a step 3 unit to a step 2 unit as shown. And we're gonna press towards our step 2 unit, and we're gonna make 2 of these. So we're gonna have our point pointing towards our step 2 unit just like this. We're going to put them right there, so along this seam, and we're going to do that 2 times. All right, I have sewn that together, and now I am going to press towards, what does it say? It says press towards step 2. I saw the picture, but I couldn't think of the words to get that across there. All right, so I'm pressing towards my step 2. Just like that. It is going to be a little crunchy here at the points because obviously there's a lot of fabric there trying to go in all kinds of directions, so you might have a little bit of a hard time working with that, but there we go. So there is step number 5, just like that. Look at my points. This one's pointing exactly on the line. This one's a little off. That's fine. But at least I can see my point all the way through. I'm super happy about that. All right. There we go. There's step number 5. Let's move on to step number 6. Okay, moving on to step number 6, our last one for this one, it says to join a step 4 unit to a step 5 unit as shown. We're going to press towards step 5, and we're going to make 2 of these. So basically, we're just adding on the top of our block so it looks like that. So across the seam here at the top. And we'll be done for clue number 8. Once we get this done, I'll meet you back here when it's time to press everything out. Okay, there we go. I have sewn that together. I'm now pressing towards my step number 5. So it should look like the one that I've already pressed right here. And there we go. That's it for clue number 8. We have completed it. When it's all said and done with, it should be 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches. I don't worry about measuring mine. I don't want to say that I never measure, because there have been a few points that I have when I thought something was maybe not super correct. But if everything looks right, then I usually don't measure. So there we go. There are 2 of our clues there are 2 clue 8s right there, and we are done. I'm going to label these clue 8, and it'll be time to move on to clue number 9 very soon.